Lexine's with it today. Digging those crazy way outs and vibrations. Ah, Greggy, baby. Why don't you and sexy Lexi go out and cut up a few touches, huh? Come on.
Hey, come on, Lexine. This novel's due in 6 weeks.
Ah, come on, don't be so lumpy, sweetie. All work and no play may make some jack, but it sure makes Greg Lawson one pretty dull boy.
Yeah. You know, I can't even scribble one of my mediocre paperback classics anymore.
What you need is a change of scene. Come on, let's get out of here. Come on, let's go join the kids down at the Maroon Harpoon for some coffee and cakes. Come on, Greggy, let's go.
Now, you go on ahead. I'll join you later, all right?
Oh, boy, it's been a real gas. Tear and mustard.
Hey, look, I'm sorry, but I guess I'm just not myself today.
Well, what about tomorrow, Daddy? Or is this the way the world ends? Not with a bang, but a whimper. Elliot Tom-Tom.
I don't know.
Well, why don't you send me a flare when you find out, Buster Brown?
T.S. Eliot. What is it he says? Between the desire and the spasm falls the shadow. For thine is the kingdom. Between the conception and the creation falls the shadow. This is the dead land. This is the cactus land. Is it like this in death's other kingdom? Life is very long. Is this the way the world ends? Is this the way the world ends? Not with a whimper, but a bang.
Insight. An exploration in depth of the spiritual conflicts of the 20th century. Insight.
How do you do? I'm Father Kieser. Sometime back, Tennessee Williams wrote a play entitled A Streetcar Named Desire. What Tennessee Williams said of the streetcar is true of each of us. Our name is Desire. Deep within our hearts, we find a hunger for the absolute, a thirst for the transcendent, a desire for God. Thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, St. Augustine prays, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee. Greg Lawson, the hero of today's drama, is haunted by this need. His name is Desire. For years, he thought the satisfaction of writing successful novels, the freedom of life in Greenwich Village, the love of a beautiful woman like Lexine would satisfy him. Now he finds that these things do not. They are good, but they are not good enough. They cannot give him the fulfillment he desires. Again and again, he's forced to ask himself, why? Why am I alive? Where did I come from? Where am I going? What is the meaning, the purpose of this life of mine? Greg asks the questions we have all asked, but he doesn't have an answer. And because he does not, he concludes there is no answer. Life is without purpose. It's futile. Man's desires can never be satisfied. He is condemned to frustration. In his pitiful despair, he is quite naturally tempted by suicide. A life without meaning, he says to himself, is no life at all. I'm better off rid of it. And then I wrote Mary, but she didn't answer.
Oh.
Hey, what's this all about?
Well, it's dash time again in Greenwich Village. The happy hour. Lexine says you got the low-down Joes. Oh, yeah, like Claw on the Walls and all that deep purple jazz.
Yeah, so the Fishers and the ex-Mrs. Madsen are here to razz your berries, tone up your isometrics, and put you in orbit.
We're like swinging catalysts.
Well, that's very cool of you, Steve, Jackie, but, well, like I told Lexine, I got work to do.
Oh, kill it, man, before it spreads. You are knocking off for the day to help me celebrate a new art technique. Now, you take worms, you dip them in a can of paint, and then you let them wiggle across the canvas. Wild?
That's very cool, except I'm not in the mood to celebrate anything except maybe World War III.
Wait a minute. Oh, it's like I thought. Your mob adjustment's low, man, very low.
What you need is catharsis. And what I prescribe is the beat that dissolves antagonism.
Hey, wife of my heart, would you pass those skins he loves to touch? It's time for the psychotherapy of the bongo beat. Oh, come on, man. Tell us what's bugging you.
Okay. I will tell you what's bugging me. Weltschmerz.
Who, Joe?
Let's see. The title of my beat with life is Beat Me, Daddy. I'm crossing the bar. All right? Allah. Bam. Buddha. Boom. Jehovah. Bob. Mohammed. Doom. Atom bomb. Boom. Now, this is the way the world ends. Ring around the rosy, a pocket full of posies. Not with a whimper, but a bang. And all the rest is silence. And who is listening in the universe? No one. Because God is dead! And so are we.
Man, that's what I call a really big bomb.
We sure lit up the tilt sign with that. You two just don't understand, Greggy, that's all. That was beautiful, baby. Pure existentialist poetry. The living end.
Listen, kitten, that Sarge jazz is nowhere. That's the dead end. The living end is God.
Hey, what flipped absurd world? If there ever was a God, which I doubt, he cut out a long time ago, leaving us holding the bag, with our own personal freedom to make our own destinies. And that's what Greggy and I are doing. We're getting as many kicks as we can out of life before we have to blow the scene. You got it? Are you happy, Greg?
Oh, yeah, I'm delirious. Come on, I'll buy you a drink.
Oh, great.
You know, the only trouble is that kicks are for the body with a built-in hangover. Now, happiness is a thing called soul.
Hey, come on, man. You ever seen a soul?
Oh, did you ever see an idea? You too and your raunchy religion. It's the opiate of the squares, made by the squares and for the squares.
Right.
Why don't you two grow up and start thinking with your brains instead of your emotions, huh?
Now, look, what do you really know about the religion bit that qualifies you to put it down?
Hey, come on, man. I've gone through that Bible jazz, and I gave it up along with Santa Claus, the Easter Bunny, and the Boy Scouts.
You know nobody, like nobody with gray matter, believes in that God jazz anymore.
Now, look, Nietzsche thought he was a superman, a god. He said God is dead, and he was so far out, he killed himself to prove it.
Hey, that's a very cool idea.
Now, look, man, you're supposed to be an intellectual, right?
Well, that's a scam, baby.
Okay, and that's supposed to mean that, like, you dig the truth. But you don't know the truth about religion from a hole in the ground. A faith isn't just a feather tickling the soles of your feet. It satisfies the endless search in the soul for God.
Come on, Zelda and Long John, get with it.
Listen, Jackie and I are with it. I'm putting it on the line to Greg. Oh, wait a minute. You come on very large, very strong with this Nilsville. But you're no intellectual man. Not if you don't really know what you're turning off before you turn it on. Now, you may have an MA in literature, but you only got a 6th grade education in theology.
Theology? God? Hey, listen, man. He doesn't exist, so we have to invent him to keep us in line. Good little boys and girls with nice little souls that have to be washed every Saturday night in that big bathtub in the sky.
Ah, dry him off, Daddy. He's all wet with that soul bilge. Hey, Greg, you ever study Aristotle's proof for the existence of God? Or Plato's discussion of the soul?
No, but I know what it all ends up with, like for the rape of man's freedom and his dignity.
Oh, well, have you read Aquinas on human freedom?
No.
Or Guardini or Maritain on the dignity of the individual?
No.
How about Ward on the intellectual foundation for faith?
No.
Oh, then that makes you a spiritual pygmy, Greg. An intellectual midget, yeah. Concerning the most important thing in the world.
Your world.
Yours, too.
Your whole present and your whole future, what God put you here for. Now and forever.
Okay, come on, blow. Split, everybody. I got work to do. Let's cool it. Come on.
I'm sorry I brought the creeps with me. I'll see you tonight, lover, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, man, you got some work to do, all right. And the first item on your agenda, I'd suggest, would be to put up or shut up. Why don't you find out what makes us run? Because believe me, buddy, ignorance ain't bliss.
As they say, if you haven't tried it, Big Daddy, don't knock it.
Okay, baby. I'll call you bluff. And I'll put up, and you shut up.
And so Greg Lawson began to investigate, to read the book Steve had suggested. He did so not in order to learn, not to discover the truth, but to find the flaw in the logic, to point out the contradiction, the intellectual absurdity he thought inherent in religion. He wanted to be able to refute once and for all the faith of his believing friends. But the more he read, the more frustrated he became. Try as he might, he could discover in the truths of faith nothing which defied reason, nothing that contradicted what he already knew, nothing which did not have the support of strong logical arguments. Finally, he was forced to admit to himself, the truths of religion do make sense. They're reasonable. They have a firm intellectual foundation. More than that, they appeal to the mind. They supply an answer to the questions which all men ask, but which no man can answer for himself. They give to the believer a comprehensive view of life, an explanation of the meaning and purpose of human existence. Greg was intrigued by the answers, but as yet he wasn't ready to accept them.
Hey, baby.
Hi.
Sorry I'm late, but I got hung up at the library.
What you doing? Research for your new book?
Well, not exactly. I've been reading some of those things that those characters mentioned.
You mean you're going to do the Quo Vadis bit? Because those two kooks needled you into it?
Well, I started out to prove they were kooks, but now I'm not so sure who's kooky.
Oh, you're kidding me, Greggy, aren't you?
No, look. Honey, listen, there's evidence that Christ did things that only God could do, like rising from the dead. Oh, no, listen, that's really something to think about. I mean, that's really something.
You're putting me on, aren't you, Greggy?
No, I mean it. Listen, I've been digging into Maritain and Carl Adam and Guardini and a lot of others, and they really make sense. I mean, they really make sense.
Well, you don't. Not if you believe in that jazz.
Hey, I didn't say I believed in it. It's just that they've got something we don't have.
Sure. Calluses on their knees.
No. They've got answers to a lot of questions that have been bothering me for an awful long time.
I've got all the answers for you, Greggy, baby.
Listen, it's like Pascal said. There's enough light for those who want to believe, and enough darkness for those that don't.
Well, the $64 billion question is, do you want to believe?
I don't know. I really don't know.
Well, don't. It's a lot of sentimental jazz. They suck in. They make it sound like it's all peaches and cream. Nice and easy, something that you could do just by standing on your head. But take it from me, Greggy, it's not like that. You go ahead and believe in that double-headed love god routine, and they're gonna take everything that makes life worth living. They'll have you groveling. They'll have you licking their boots. Anything to keep you down, Greggy. I'm telling you, anything.
Well, I haven't been up the way things have been going.
But you've just been in a rut. That's all. What you need is a little of Mother Matson's home remedy.
You know, you had a bottle at Lexi and you'd make a fortune.
Don't be a moldy fake, Greg. I thought you were smarter than to swallow that bourgeois bait. I know what I'm talking about. I divorced that double-squared octagon of a husband of mine because I didn't believe in that medieval morality anymore. It was a slow death and a drag all the way. Now, Greggy, I'm putting it on the line to you. You gotta make up your mind. It's either God or me.
Why does it have to be that way?
Why don't we just say, I'm not in the market for a saint. But you go ahead. Try on a halo for size, Mr. Lawson. And it's a farewell to arms. Mine. You get the message?
Yeah, I get the message. Look, I gotta split. I'll see you, huh? At home.
Oh, thanks. We did.
I see you've been doing your homework. You dig this stuff?
No, most of it.
Still think we're squares?
I'm beginning to think I'm the square. Hey, you know, I used to think I was the hippest guy in town.
Greg, the real hipster knows that the shortest distance to happiness is a straight line to God.
You know, I envy you two. You've got something I wish I had. But I can't believe. I guess Lexine's right. She says I'm not built for it.
She thinks you're just built for her, right? Well, don't you believe it? God built you for himself. Now, you find God and you'll find yourself.
But how?
Well, God may have knocked St. Paul off his horse on the road to Damascus, but I doubt if you can expect him to roust you out of your Volkswagen on the way to Venice West.
Here. There's something I made for you.
A contribution for the needy. Let me see, what is it? It's a portable Harry Carey set, right? No? For your hair.
Oh, thank you.
Get in it. Oh.
We thought it might help.
It might remind you, like Victor Hugo says, that life is to give and not to take.
Oh, thanks. Hey, look. Here's another thing that's been bugging me. If Christ is God, then why did he have to die like this?
Love. It's as simple as that. Christ wanted to suffer to show his love for every one of us.
Even me? Come on, I don't even like myself. How can God love me?
Greg, God loves us in a way that we'll never understand here. It's not because of anything we've done or are. It's because of what he is. And of what we can become.
It's like the man says, God will take either your old bones or your young dreams.
I don't know.
Well, come on, kid, and let's cut out. I got that canvas commission to finish. Hey, pal, would you mind one more suggestion? Why don't you try going to church? Go to Mass. Might help you to understand the meaning of that and a lot of things.
Sure they won't throw me out?
Well, as long as you don't play your bongos too loud. They can even string keep with it, Craig.
Okay, I'll see you, Steve. Goodbye, Jackie.
Bye.
I kept with it. I started going to Mass. I wanted to see what it was all about. I didn't understand everything that was going on, but I liked what I saw. The peace, the reverence, the devotion, the knowing, the sacrifice of the Mass, God dying for me. I saw this was a profound spiritual experience for those who believed. I wanted to be a part of it, to share it. I came to realize my life would always be incomplete, unfulfilled, until I did believe. Finally, it got through to me loud and clear. I owed it to myself and to Christ to believe. All right, I'll admit it. Maybe I would like to believe, but I can't give up Lexine. I love her.
What love is there apart from God?
Hey, come on, I'm not pure spirit. I'm flesh and blood.
God knows that. That's why he made an Eve for every Adam. It's just that Lexine isn't your Eve. She's already married. She belongs to somebody else.
Not anymore. She's divorced, all legal and proper.
All legal, maybe, but not proper. What God hath joined together, let no man put asunder.
I don't care. It's not worth it.
Well, that's up to you to decide. You're going to have to battle that one out with God and with your conscience. I didn't say it was going to be easy. Things get too tough, you could try praying.
In the days that followed, I wrestled with myself and with God. I fought him from one end of my pad to the other, from one end of my soul to the other. I wanted to believe. I needed to believe, to accept, but I couldn't, or I wouldn't let myself. Now I knew what Francis Thompson meant in his poem, The Hound of Heaven. I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthian ways of my own mind. And in the mist of tears, I hid from him, from those strong feet that followed after. They beat, and a voice beat, more instant than the feet. All things betray thee, who betrayest me. Finally, I saw myself for what I was and what I wasn't. Finally, I did what Steve had suggested. I prayed. Oh, dear God. I want to believe. I need to believe. But I can't. I can't believe. Oh, God. Oh, God. Help me to believe in you. Help me. Help me.
The act of faith is at once the most significant and most difficult of all human acts. It is significant because it brings the believer's mind into contact with the mind of God himself. It is difficult because it requires of the believer a complete commitment, a total dedication, a full gift of himself to God. So to give oneself is the hardest thing in the world. Sometimes when an individual considers conversion, it seems he stands all alone on the edge of a cliff. He's asked to jump out into the darkness. Because he can't see what's out there, he's afraid. I can only tell you to have confidence. That darkness is filled with the presence of God. To jump into that darkness is to land in the arms of God. And that brings with it spiritual fulfillment and happiness. A happiness that surpasses any other human joy.
Mohammed wouldn't come to the mountain, so here I am, baby doll. What's cooking?
Looking at you, I think it's me. Boy, it's a real cool dress you've got.
You like
there,
it?
baby. Mm-hmm.
It's designed to bring out the male animal in you, Greggy. Don't tune me out. I'm still sending.
Well, I guess I'm just not receiving.
What's that supposed to mean?
Look, you gave me a choice once. God or you. I'm afraid it has to be God.
God? Oh, no, Greggy. Be yourself. Like doing what comes naturally with sexy Lexi.
Now, listen. I found out that I can only be myself by accepting God, and that's the most natural thing there is.
Oh, come off it, Calvin. That lie may be just fine for Stevie and Jackie, but listen who you're talking to. This is little old Lexi. Don't hand me any of that transcendental garbage, huh?
I'm sorry, baby, but I'm hooked all the way.
I don't need you anymore at all. You're just way out of print. You're sick, sick, sick if you go that whole route.
And I'm dead, dead, dead if I don't.
So this is the way our world ends.
No, this is the way it begins.
With you being a eunuch, a half a man and a half a prayer merchant.
Hey, Lexi, for the first time in my life, I want to be a whole man. And only Christ can give me that. Don't you understand? He's the only thing there is. He really is, for me. Only Christ gives me the chance for the kind of life that can stand up without fear in the shadow of a radioactive mushroom cloud.
So, poof! Our little affair of the heart is fini, kaput.
Don't you understand? It never was an affair of the heart.
I never did like cold biscuits, buddy, or hot cross buns. So you can flake off and drop dead.
And in the mist of tears, I hid from him, from those strong feet that followed after. Halts by me, that footfall. Is my gloom, after all, shade of his hand outstretched caressingly? Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest. Thou drivest love from thee, who drivest me.
Greg Lawson has been brought face to face with the basic choice of every human life. To accept or reject God's love. To live for God or to live for oneself. Greg faces this choice and he makes his decision. He opens his mind and allows it to be illumined by the divine mind. This enables him to view life with the insight and perception of God himself. That's what it means to believe. It means, to use St. Paul's expression, to put on the mind of Christ, to see things as he sees them, to view life through God's eyes. But faith is only the beginning. It flowers into charity. Greg allows his heart to be ignited by the fire of God's own love. In a direct and personal way, he realizes that God's love for him is a unique and special one, and it calls for a special response. Greg knows that he cannot hope to love God as God loves him, but he resolves to try. He knows that he doesn't have much to give to God, but what he does have, he decided to give. He makes a complete commitment, a total surrender of himself to God. This gift of himself brings him into contact with God himself. That's the way love works. To love God is to possess God. It is to experience the truth of St. Augustine's prayer. Thou hast made us for thyself, O Lord, and our hearts are restless until they rest in thee.
Insight is a production of the Paulist Fathers, a group of Catholic priests who serve their God by serving those outside their church.